Alright guys, welcome back to another video, me Countess, and today's video is all about Celtic transfers. So let's start with the ins, we'll move on to the outs, and then we'll have to see what our special guest Cal has to say before finishing off today's video. So yeah, let's start with the ins. The big rumour of this window has been Cho, the man from the K-League. He had a good World Cup, he got two fantastic headers from what I can remember off the top of my head. And he would have been a fantastic signing in my opinion. It would have been a good replacement for the man we're going to speak about a little bit later, so let's not mention him just yet. So, Cho was a big rumour. It seemed like it was maybe going to happen. We were the favourites. Mine's dropped out the race, now it looks like they might be back in the race when it comes to the summer. It seems like he wants Mines because he's got a friend already there, apparently, is the reasoning. He also wasn't very happy that Celtic had multiple targets. It's not just only him, which I find is a bit stupid. Like, surely you realise a player that top clubs are going to be run well and they're going to have multiple targets for the reason of if a player doesn't end up signing, it looks daft. We need to have backups as options. So I believe Cho's a bit of a dafty if I'm being honest. So yeah, apparently that's the reason, and maybe it's not, but that's kind of what it's what we're working with when it comes to whatever the papers and the journalists are telling us. That's all we can really base it off. So yeah, the other rumour has been Kevin Nisbet over the last few days. I do think that might be lazy journalism though. I think they're kind of just looking Scottish, Hibs, decent age you'd say, and good goal scorer, and I think it's just kind of he's on form. Hibs, Celtic, there's kind of a connection there, kind of not. I think it's just lazy journalism. However, I would take him if I'm being honest. Kevin Nisbet's a fantastic striker. Is he good enough to replace the man we're going to talk about in a bit? Probably not, but I would take him because he is a natural goal scorer. Maybe he would score 10 plus goals for Celtic. He's got like 7 in his last 6, something like that for Hibs. So yeah, I do think he'd score double figures for Celtic. I do think that, but I don't know. It's not the biggest name signing, but I would take him. We need homegrown players anyways for the Champions League, so he'd be a pretty good homegrown player to sign. Our last one would be in 2020 where we signed David Turnbull. He worked out well for us. Sadly doesn't get as much game time as he probably should. I love David Turnbull, if I'm being honest. Scored a goal against St Mirren at the time of recording. A fantastic goal it was on his right foot, just placed it right in the bottom corner. But yeah, I would take Kevin Nisbet, and we've already done some business actually pre-window, but it's quite weird that we've not made any deals since we've done all these deals in November, December time, which was Itawa, who's yet to play, but I think he might make his debut against Morton if I was to take a guess. Kobayashi has signed. He made his debut against St Mirren, that same game I was on about where Turnbull scored, and I was on about Scottish players with Nisbet. And then we had Alistair, who's played the most out of the new signings. He'd done well at the World Cup, but he'd done decent. You can't really do too well with Canada and go out of the group. But he looked alright. He played centre back for Canada though, in a back three, so it wasn't quite his usual position, but he looked alright. He came up against a man who looks like he's going to replace. We'll talk about him as well in a minute. So yeah, Alistair looked good in the tackle, got chucked into the Glasgow derby and didn't look bad at all, so he's got a big future hopefully at Celtic. And now let's talk about the outs. So the one I was on about, the striker, Georgios Giacomakis, he's top goal scorer in Holland, top goal scorer last season in the league over in the SPFL, the cinch, massive. And now it looks like he's going to go off to Japan, which is probably the worst club he could go to out the ones rumoured so far. Like, I'd rather him go to the MLS or Sampdoria, or the one I've been suggesting is Everton. I know he's not properly linked by any serious sources, more just kind of been like, oh, he'd be good for Everton. I just think he would. Calvert-Lewin's injured every 2 seconds. You blink and he's injured again. The boy's made out of glass. And Giacomakis scores goals. I think all relegation Premier League sides should be looking at him, and I think it's a joke that it looks like he's going to go to the J League, which we usually see the J League as a step down from the SPFL, and he's going from top goal scorer to moving to a side that is even the champions over there. I think it's quite disappointing. I would have preferred if he went to Sampdoria. They need a striker. I feel like he'd be loved over there. because he'd score the goals that would maybe keep them up. And he's been used to that over there in Holland already previous. I just think it's a mistake that none of these big sides trying to avoid an embarrassment of relegation aren't going for him. And then the other one's Josip Juranovic, the man on the thumbnail. He's been rumoured to a few clubs. We had the Monza thing, but then they've decided to go for the Marseille right back, which was a bit cheaper than getting Juranovic. And then the other rumours have been Man United, but it seemed like they needed Wan-Bissaka to go to Wolves, which was the rumour. And Juranovic would then go to Manchester United to battle out with the lot for the right back slot. We had Chelsea rumoured, but Todd Boehly probably doesn't know who Juranovic is because he's not a wonder kid on FM, so that's probably why they're not signing him. And Southampton now seem to be the favourites for the Croatian right back. He's arguably the best right back at the World Cup. It's between him and Hakimi for the best right back at a World Cup. A PSG right back and a Celtic right back up there for the two best at the World Cup. It proves how good he is. I just think he deserves a better club, to be honest, than Southampton if he's going to leave. And yeah, that's kind of all we've got to work on at the time of recording. So we're recording on the same day as the Celtic St Mirren game. So this is kind of the time for him to look for. We're not quite at the Morton game yet, which is why I said it will probably make his debut then. So let's see what Cal had to say.
Where I want to see Celtic by the most is a striker by the name of Bremer. He's 23 and he played for Cincinnati in the MLS. And then in the 21-22 season, he got 24 goals and assists in 32 games, which is a decent return. Like I said, he's 23 and he's also valued at £8 million on transfer market, which is quite a lot, but if we can get about 5 for him, I think it'd be a good deal. See, if it was up to me and I had to pick between Giacomakis, Brenner and Shaw, I would pick Giacomakis every day of the week. I think he's a great player and I think he's vital to Celtic. But as I said, players do move on, and I think I would pick Brenner to replace Giacomakis. Out of all the January signings so far, the player that I'm most excited to see is the one and only Alistair Johnston. Listen, I love the boy. I don't really know why, but I think he's brilliant, and I love his attitude towards the club and the fans as well as the squad and the overall goals of what Ange wants to achieve. I think he's got a lot of ability, but I think he's still got a lot to improve on since he's only 24. However, what we've seen of him so far, I think it's really promising. He runs like he had a second lung, and we've seen that in the Rangers game, and we can also see that he loves a tackle, and I think that's perfect for a fullback. But I'm buzzing to see him thrive in the Celtic team as well as a player, and I really hope that he can hit the potential that he has. In my opinion, I don't really want to see anybody leave. I love this group and I love this team, and I think in comparison to other teams that we've had in the past under Rodgers, Lennon, Dyla, we've not had a team so connected like this. No matter if they play every game or they barely play at all, I feel like every Celtic player in this squad had a role, and they're going to need to step up at one point this season. That's why I'm not too keen on letting anybody go. If I had to pick players, I'd probably pick the Scott Bain and Stephen Welsh to go out on loan and get that game time and maybe improve themselves as a player. I think they're the only two in the squad that I don't really see playing. However, I think that every other in the squad had a position and had a role that they're going to need to play this season. So for me, I wouldn't let anybody go, but if I had to pick, I'd pick both Bain and Welsh to leave.
I think Cal spoke really well there. Mind to go check out the description, go follow his TikTok, his Twitter, etc., his Instagram. I'll leave the links below in the description. Spoke really well there, and I really like what he had to say about the current group compared to, Ronnie Dyla's group of players, Brendan's, Lennon's. And I agree, not many people would want any players to actually leave, to be honest. especially the main core group of players that are playing week in and week out are getting mixed in. I think the only players you can really look at are players that are probably not going to get much game time, so like your McCarthy's, your Idaguchi's, your Welsh's, your Scott Baines. Those are the kind of things where you're kind of questioning. The only thing I would add, which I meant to add at the beginning of the video, but we'll chuck it at the end because we know that I'm the Connor Hazard guy, so I think I have to talk about this. I think Connor Hazard needs a new deal. I think he's better than Scott Bain, and he's only 24, I believe, still. You know, I think he should be our number 2. You know, Seagrass is a good keeper, but I don't know, it's between him and Connor Hazard. I feel like Hazard's the future. It's not quite number 1 level yet. He's maybe debatable for number 2 level, but he done so well at HJK on loan. Done well even in the Europa League against the likes of Roma. You know, he has the most saves in the whole of the Europa League. Underrated player. I want to get a new deal. That's all I'm looking for. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.